Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, parliamentarians. I believe we have some diplomats from some various embassies, and it's my great privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to this virtual meeting on behalf of the British Committee for Iran Freedom. The reason you're seeing me in this role of chairing the meeting at the outset is because there is an emergency meeting has just been called this afternoon for members of parliament from London, where apparently there is a discussion about the additional lockdown procedures that are about to be implemented. So the virtual meeting of London MPs has started at 3 o'clock as well. Quite a few of those MPs attending that meeting were supposed to be at our meeting this afternoon. We hope that they will still be able to join us later, but in the meantime, you will have to put up with me, I regret to say, but it's a great pleasure to be with you today. Let me start by saying a few opening remarks. Donald Trump has called Iran the leading state sponsor of terror. In July 2019, America imposed sanctions on Mohammad Javad Zarif, the Iranian foreign minister. He was identified by the US as an illegitimate spokesperson for Iran, which is really State Department speak for declaring Zarif a terrorist. As foreign minister, Zarif is in charge of Iran's army of ambassadors and diplomatic staff. In June 2018, he was therefore responsible for the orders given to Assadollah Assadi, a diplomat from their Iranian embassy in Vienna. Assadi was instructed to hand over 500 grams of high explosives and a detonator to an Iranian couple from Antwerp. He ordered them to drive to Paris and detonate the bomb at a major rally organized by the National Council for Resistance in Iran and attended by over 100,000 people. I was there myself, and I'm sure many of you were. There are many MPs and parliamentary colleagues from around the world. A combined operation by the German, French, and Belgian intelligence services led to the arrest of Assadi and 3 other conspirators, all of whom are now in prison in Belgium. Assadi's trial begins next month on the 27th of November. It will be the first time one of the regime's diplomats has been caught red-handed and brought to trial accused of terrorism. In an outrageous development, Assadi has told the Belgian authorities that if he is found guilty, there will be violent reprisals against European targets. He made this threat. Such a high-level atrocity could only have been validated by Hassan Rouhani, the so-called moderate president of Iran, and the country's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. Ironically, the senior diplomat whom Assadi had replaced in the Vienna embassy was a guy called Mustafa Rudaki, another trained Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security agent. Rudaki had been redeployed to Albania by Zarif with the rank of first secretary in the Iranian embassy in Tirana. He was joined there by a new ambassador appointed by Zarif, Gholam Hossein Mohammadinia, a former high-ranking Iranian intelligence official. Zarif had clearly instructed his new team of diplomats in Albania that their main mandate was to track down and eliminate the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran, the PMOI-MEK, who have created a new base in the country, Ashraf-free, housing over 2,500 of their members. But once again, Zarif's plans were thwarted. Albanian intelligence officers uncovered a plot to detonate a bomb at a Nowruz or Iranian New Year gathering of PMI-MEK members in Tehran. Two MIS agents, together with Ambassador Mohammadinejad and his first secretary Radaki, were expelled from the country by the Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama. And these were not the only terror plots that bear the fingerprints of Zarif. In October 2018, the Iranian regime sent another senior MIS agent to assassinate an opposition figure in Denmark. He too now awaits trial on terrorism charges. Also in 2018, two Iranian diplomats were expelled from the Netherlands for acts of terror. You know, in the last 41 years, dozens of assassinations have been carried out by MIS agents in Switzerland, Italy, Germany, Austria, France, and Turkey. The fact that targeted eliminations can happen virtually unchallenged on European soil should surely be of great concern. For the past 4 decades, the mullahs' revolutionary creed of radicalized Islam has left nothing but death and suffering in its wake. Pursuing their constitutional objective of spreading revolution to create a fundamentalist Shiite caliphate, the clerical regime has vigorously backed Bashar al-Assad's bloody civil war in Syria. It has trained, financed, and commanded the brutal Shia militia in Iraq. It has sponsored Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon and the Houthi rebels in Yemen. It has bankrolled and inspired the export of proxy wars and terror throughout the Middle East and the wider world. This theocratic fascist dictatorship has wrecked the Iranian economy, plundered the people's wealth, ruined the environment, and turned this once great nation into an international pariah. Deploying the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, the IRGC, the regime's Gestapo, the mullahs have unleashed a homicidal blitz on their own population, crushing dissent, wantonly murdering and maiming thousands of peaceful protesters. Iran's jails are bursting at the seams with political prisoners, many of them young students, male and female, arrested during the nationwide uprising in November 2019. Under the mullahs, Iran has achieved pole position as the world's #1 executioner on a per capita basis. And in the summer of 1988, as we all know, the summary execution of more than 30,000 political prisoners in Iran took place in an atrocity that surely must rank as one of the most horrific crimes against humanity of the late 20th century. The vast majority of the victims were PMI-MEK activists. The mass executions in jails across Iran were carried out on the basis of a fatwa by the regime's then supreme leader, Khomeini. You know, many of the key executioners from that time are now in positions of power in Iran. Ali Reza Avai, one of the most brutal murderers of political prisoners in 1988, is now Rouhani's Minister of Justice. If we're serious about terminating their bomb factories and eliminating their spies, we should close all of Iran's embassies and expel their diplomatic staff. Khamenei, Rouhani, Zarif, and other leaders of the regime should be indicted for genocide and crimes against humanity and brought to trial in the international courts. The time has come for these arch criminals and murderers to be held to account. The EU and the UN must stop its appeasement of this fascist regime. Thank you very much.